All right, so Moon Knight wrapped up a few days ago. I posted a series review of it yesterday, so today I, the film watcher, shall be ranking all 12 main characters from Moon Knight. Couple hints. I'm including people who are billed as main cast members, which is a lot of people who shouldn't be, but are for an inexplicable reason. But anyhow. And technically, there are 14 main cast members if you check the Wikipedia page under the starring title. But two of those were the on-set, not on-set, the motion capture performers or whatever for Khonshu and Amit. So yeah, but I mean they're playing the same character as the voices, so it's just the one character. Also, this is my 100th video here on YouTube, so thank you guys who are watching this for enduring my many weird tangents and rants and other such things. Thank you very much. I did just reach 50 subscribers, past that recently, so, and I plan on doing something for that, maybe at some point soon. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, let's do this. In last place, number 12, is Selim, the avatar for the god Osiris. If you don't remember this guy, I wouldn't blame you. I only know who he is because I'd like double-checked the Wikipedia page and wrote it down here in my trusty notebook, but yeah, he doesn't really do anything. He has a rather prominent role in episode 3 as the head of the Ennead Council of Avatars thing. Council of Avatars is a cool name, but yeah. All he does in that episode is be an unlikable idiot, because he refuses to do anything about Harrow. I think he appears like one time in episode 4, and then he appears again in episode 6, where he's like, "What? Harrow's releasing Amit? Unbelievable! Why did no one warn us about this?" On top of that, he has a very boring personality. He always speaks in this very dull tone of voice that he's just not an interesting character. They don't do anything with him, and he has no reason to be a main cast member, so he is in last place. Number 11 is Anton Mogart. So, the part of episode 3 of this show where they were at his place, outside of the action sequence, it just wasn't a very interesting or memorable segment of that episode for a couple of reasons. One, what they do there is just kind of dull. I mean, they're kind of just looking at pieces of paper. And Mogart himself is an unbelievably boring character. Like, he should be fun, he should be lively and energetic, but he's just not. He's boring. Plus, he doesn't do anything for the entire episode except ride on a horse in a bathrobe. And I think he sticks a spear into Moon Knight at one point. But then Moon Knight's just able to go like this or something, and the spear just pops out of him. So he has no effect on anything. He's boring. He should be interesting, but he's not. So yeah, he's in last place. Number 10 is Billy Fitzgerald. He was the follower of Harrow who had a beard. Yeah, that's about it. All he does is get in a couple scuffles with Moon Knight, chase him a few times, and do kind of anything else that Harrow says. That's pretty much it. I don't get why he's a main cast member, but he is. And he gets beaten to a bloody pulp by Moon Knight, or Jake, in episode 6. That's about it. And the case is the same for number 9, Bobbi Kennedy, who is always with this Fitzgerald fellow. She was African-American, shortish hair. And the only reason she's above Fitzgerald is because I remember what her voice sounds like, because she spoke like one time. I mean, they both spoke, but I just remember what she sounds like. Either way, she's not very... Again, all she does is get in a couple scuffles, chase Moon Knight, and get beaten to a bloody pulp by him. That's it. These characters don't do anything. Moving on. Number 8 is Wendy Spector. Oh boy. So she was featured in episode 5. She's Marc's mother. And she is just, it's just a tragic situation here because she, like, in the first scene where she's in, she seems kind of nice, huh? She's a nice mom. And then after Marc's brother dies, she spends the entirety of his childhood blaming him about it, even though he was only like 9 or maybe 10 when that happened. So it doesn't make sense why she would blame him for it, but she does anyway. So she just, and then she verbally and physically abuses him, leading him to create Steven as just a part of him that doesn't have to go through all the messed up trauma and stuff that Marc had to endure. So she's not a nice person. She's not a good person. She's not a character I enjoy. But she's interesting. She's an interesting character, a tragic character, and just one that's very important for Marc's growth as a character. Doesn't do a whole lot on her own, but she certainly has an impact on him, that's for sure. Number 7 is Elias Spector, Marc's dad, and he was just very much he was nice. He was the nicer of the two parents, and of course you feel bad for Marc, but I kind of feel bad for this guy too, because he both has to raise his young-ish son and deal with his wife who's verbally and physically abusing him and hates him and is drinking a lot. So it's a rough situation. You see kind of how Marc got to be as kind of messed up as he is, or just like not knowing where he's going or what he's doing all the time. But it was nice that Elias was he was a nice person, a nice presence throughout this episode. He only shows up a couple times, but he was nice. So yeah. Number 6 is Taweret. She was a very cool reveal at the end of episode 4. Just a giant hippo in clothes standing there, and then Marc and Steven just start screaming their heads off. It was fun. And then throughout episode 5, she was kind of just a nice anchor, just a nice, comforting and quirky presence that had no ulterior motives. She genuinely wanted Marc and Steven to be okay, even though it was her job to do something about it if they weren't. But I mean, she was a nice character. Like, she wasn't like Khonshu being all manipulative or Amit being all soul sucky. No, she was a kind person. God, hippo lady thing. I don't know. But yeah, she was cool. And it was very cool to see her manipulating the bodies in episode 6. That's kind of creepy, but it was cool. And then Layla becoming her avatar. They had some nice chats together, and she was a fun character. Number 5 is Amit, who is technically the main villain, but not really, because Harrow's just crazy, and like it's not like Amit is controlling him. I don't know. I don't think they ever say if he's like swayed by her influence, but I mean, she probably had something to do with it. But he seems to like just genuinely believe in this, in her methods and her ideas, which are, I mean, they seem insane to me personally. But it was cool that she got some philosophical debate stuff with Khonshu as they beat each other with big sticks. That was cool. On top of that, her design was really, really cool. I didn't know what Amit was supposed to look like because I just don't really know anything about Egyptian mythology, but she looked very, very cool. That's what I'm saying here. So yes, she was an enjoyable final boss of sorts. I mean, Moon Knight doesn't actually fight her, but she was a good character. Number 4, Layla El-Faouly. I'm pretty sure that's how they pronounce it in the show. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that right. So she was a cool addition to this show. I really enjoyed her relationship with both Marc and Steven, and it's interesting because like she had a romantic past with Marc, but all that's just it's in the past. Like so you don't have to worry about like, oh, are they gonna get together? Maybe, or all that stuff. Like, a lot of MCU love interests, because I mean she's not really a love interest; she's an ex love interest. So that was an interesting new thing that they did. I think it was a new thing that they did. I don't know what that was, but yes, I liked seeing her get into some action. Like, she was a fun character to go on these globe-trotting adventures with, especially when she was paired up with Steven, who, unlike Marc, actually knows things about Egyptian mythology. I mean, even though Marc knows an Egyptian god, he doesn't really know about like the stuff that Steven is learned in. But we're talking about Layla right now, so let's focus on that. So yes, she was a cool character, and that when they get to episode 4 with the stuff with her dad, that was sad. I think the actress did a very good job at portraying her, and she got a very cool superhero origin story to become. Okay, I could be getting this wrong, but I think it's Scarlet Scarab. That might be who she became. Yeah, the costume that she had was also very very cool with like the wings and stuff. She showed up. I was like, oh, that's awesome, and it was awesome. So yes, a solid character. I enjoyed her. Number 3 is Khonshu. Now the main appeal of Khonshu is that he is funny. Um, I don't know, but he's just a whiny person, and he's petty. Like, his fellow gods are like, you go on temper tantrums, or it might have been Harrow that said that, but that was just really amusing because he does, like, he has an inclination just yell and just when he gets mad. He was a fun character. Um, but yeah, like, and when you get to episode 5, you see that, like, right from the second Marc met Khonshu, Khonshu was manipulating him even then. Like, it was like Marc was at like a very low point. He just lost his father-in-law. He was injured. He was probably going to die soon. And Khonshu was like, this guy's perfect. And he just worked his magic, said exactly the right words to get him to do what needed to be done, I suppose. And his manipulation goes like really far in that mid-credit scene there, where, I mean, we got to see him in a suit, which was very, very cool. But he is manipulating Marc in such a way that Marc doesn't even know he's being manipulated. That is true manipulation and kind of evil when you think about it. I wouldn't say that Khonshu's not a villain, but he is a bad person, because like he's using the personality that Marc doesn't know anything about. In other words, he's using Marc's disorder to trick him into still being Moon Knight, which is just kind of despicable. And I'm sure we're going to see more of that in season 2. We better get a season 2 of this. Why did I don't know. But yes, Khonshu is a good character. And he looks very cool. There is also that. And like F. Murray Abraham has just a great voice that was perfect for this part. So yeah, great. Number 2 is Arthur Harrow, the main villain of the series. Now, I've only seen Ethan Hawke in one other thing, and that's Training Day. He was so great in this show, man. He just had such a creepy vibe to him. Like, from the very first scene, when he has the alligator stick, he puts the water in the blender or something. He takes the cane, he smashes the glass blender, and then he unrolls like the washcloth thing that it was in. He pours the glass in his shoes, and then he starts walking with those shoes on. I don't know if they ever go back to that, but it's just a cool, creepy villain thing. And then, like, when you get into episode 1, you see how much influence he has over the people that are his followers, how much he's dedicated to this idea of bringing Amit back and judging people before they even get a chance to do anything wrong. And like in episode 2, he explains why he thinks that way. And as crazy as it is, and as weird of an idea as it is to me, personally, it kind of makes sense like, you see where he's coming from, even if you don't fully agree with why he's doing it or his methods at all. But he's just an interesting villain. Um, and he was also, like, you see how smart he is because he was, like, fully aware of everything that Khonshu was doing because he'd been with him for a very long time. He was Moon Knight before Moon Knight was Moon Knight. That didn't make much sense, but yeah, you know what I mean. Um, and then when you get into, like, the final episodes, like, he's manipulating Marc even in Marc's hallucinations or hallucinate afterlife. He's manipulating Marc in the afterlife. He's the doctor, except according to Jake, you're not a doctor. That was totally Jake. I agree with whoever says that out there. But yeah, he was just a really, really cool antagonist. Never really got to see him defeated. Because, I mean, when Marc was, like, when Marc was about to beat him up, Jake took over. We didn't get to see him getting beat up. And then when Jake shot him, maybe, I don't know. We didn't get to see that either. But is he actually dead? Is this like a Kingpin situation from Hawkeye? I don't know. See, with Kingpin, why would they kill off Kingpin? They could kill off Harrow, though. I'd be fine with that. But he's still a great character. Number one, though, has got to be Marc Spector / Stephen Grant / Jake Lockley / Moon Knight / Mr. Knight. All in one. Okay, so I've only seen Oscar Isaac in Star Wars up till this point. And, like, he was always good in those movies. The character sometimes got the opportunity to be awesome, and sometimes did not with the truly iconic line, "Somehow, Palpatine returned." It'd be funny if they incorporated that into season 2, where he was like, Khonshu just comes back and he's like, "We've confirmed the worst. Somehow, Khonshu has returned." Everybody's like, "What? How did this happen? I thought he was thrown into an electrical pit and blown up." He was like, "No, he came back through weird cloning technology that we're not going to explain." I'm getting very off track here. So, the character of Marc Spector is one that, like, right from the first episode, like, when he just showed up as a voice in the mirror, he was just interesting, and I wanted to know more about him. As you got to know more about him through, like, the mercenary stuff and all the first, like, 4 episodes, and then we learned exactly, like, what the source of all his trauma was, leading him to create Steven. And there's Steven. Steven, he was just a very likable and charming, like, kind of point of view character for the like, the duration of the series, or at least until episode 4, at which point Marc kind of became the point of view character. And then, of course, you got Jake. I like the hints of Jake throughout the season. And then we finally got to see him in full form in that mid-credit scene, and that was very cool. So he was just an absolutely fascinating character that I just really, really wanted to know more about. Because, I mean, we got all the answers to what he was doing, but just the idea of all the dynamics that he could have, like Marc and Steven becoming aware of Jake, or there being maybe other personalities or something, or what Khonshu was doing in that mid-credit scene, like making Marc still Moon Knight, even though Marc doesn't even know he's Moon Knight, and technically Marc wasn't even Moon Knight because it was Jake all along, but it was Jake all along. Agatha Harkness. Anyway, so he was just a really interesting character. I love seeing Marc and Steven, like, working together in like episodes 4 through 6, and then actually becoming, like, symbiotic kind of in that final episode where they're able to work together in action. That was awesome. And now Jake's just it's gonna be all messed up because of stupid dead bird skeleton man. And then as Moon Knight, he was just like a really cool action type character. He was just really, it was all the Moon Knight action that we got with him using the moon dagger things that he picked out of his chest circle thing, him making the cape look like a crescent moon, just, and the way he was able to just fight really well, all of it, he was just an incredible character that I cannot wait to see more of in hopefully season 2. So yeah, that is all I got for the Moon Knight character ranking. Share your own ranking in the comments down below. You don't need to include all the characters at the bottom of the list that I included, but I'm just include the characters that you would consider main characters of the show, if you're going to comment at all, which you would do in the comment section, because where else would one comment? How does that become a running gag? I said that twice in like 2 videos in a row. I don't know. So, yeah, Moon Knight was great. Thank you for watching, and keep calm and watch on.